Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. And in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Tuesday, November the 30th. We got a 5-game Tuesday slate. As always, guys, we're going to go game by game. We're going to talk through each game on this 5-game slate, break down each team, kind of give, my early thoughts, what does stand out to me looking at this slate on Monday night. And then as we do go through each game, we'll build out kind of an early core. 5 guys I do like at first look, 5 guys for DraftKings, and then 5 guys for Yahoo as well. But before we do get started with the breakdown, as always, please do hit the like button down below. I appreciate all the likes. If you're new to the channel and you have not subscribed yet, please do hit that subscribe button as well. I upload a ton of NBA content to this channel. I get up videos Monday through Friday. I live stream usually an hour before lock Monday through Friday as well. I'm still making NFL content too, getting videos up for the Monday night showdown slates, the Thursday night showdown slates, making videos for the main slates too. So I got a ton of content coming out on the channel. Make sure you do hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed yet. And also, if you haven't yet, check out the sponsor of the video, PrizePicks. PrizePicks is a new DFS site. They're more player prop based. I'm sure most of you have already heard about PrizePicks, but if you have not yet and you want to check them out, be sure when you sign up, use code NOAH, and they will match your first deposit. They will give you a free bet up to $100. And you can take a look at PrizePicks platform. You can see what they have to offer. They already do have some projections up for Tuesday's game. So they have point projections, rebounds, assists, three-pointers made. So these are basically, your player props. And then they also have fantasy point projections as well. Now, the fantasy point projections, they usually don't post those until, early Tuesday morning. But you can check those out as well. Very simple. You just pick over or under on a player's projection. If you have a strong lean one way or the other, go over or under. You have to make at least 2 picks, but you can make up to 5 picks, and you can win up to 10 extra money on PrizePicks. So if you want to sign up, use code NOAH. They'll match your first deposit. They will give you a free bet up to $100. And if you guys do want some of my favorite picks on PrizePicks each day, I do provide those over on Patreon. I have a lot of additional content over on Patreon that you can check out. A lot of my updated content, my updated core plays, my positional plays, where I list off my favorite plays at each position, my rankings, my top 20 plays of the day ranked in order of interest. Then obviously my Patreon, my PrizePicks plays. Those are all found on Patreon as well. So if you're interested in that, check out the Patreon link down below in the description too. But let's take a look at Tuesday's 5-game slate. We're going to start off with the Knicks and Nets game. Starting off on the Knicks side, this Knicks team, they could be kind of short-handed today. So they already said pretty big news just randomly out of nowhere that Kemba Walker is not going to be a part of the rotation moving forward, which is really crazy. Kemba Walker, he's not been good this year, and the fact that he's not even going to be in the rotation is just crazy because this used to be he was an all-star at one point. But he's going to be out of the rotation, so you're basically taking the 18 to 20 minutes that he was playing every night, and you're going to have to kind of spread those around. Plus, we have some other questionable guys. Even with Kemba out of the rotation, you got some guys that could be out too, like R.J. Barrett's questionable, Nerlens Noel's questionable, Derrick Rose is questionable, Taj Gibson's questionable. So we could see a pretty shorthanded Knicks team here. They might run like an 8-9-man rotation depending on who plays. If all these guys play, then they'll have plenty of bodies. But, I think Rose has been out of, the last 3 or 4 games. I think Noel and Gibson have both been out these last few games. So we'll have to kind of wait and see there with news. But starting off at the top with Julius Randle, 9,400 on this slate. I kind of like this price tag on Julius Randle. He's not been good lately. You can look at the game log and see that. He's had back-to-back pretty bad games against Phoenix and Atlanta. Just 26 and 27 DraftKings points. Literally complete floor games from Julius Randle. I like going to him on this slate. I like the price tag has come down to 9,400. The matchup against Brooklyn, I think, is pretty favorable. Brooklyn's a team you can beat down low. They don't really have any good defensive big men. LaMarcus Aldridge, at this point in his career, I wouldn't really consider a great defensive big man. KD, he's long, he's a good defender, but he's, kind of undersized when it comes to a guy like Julius Randle. I know Julius Randle in the past, I want to say, has had some pretty big games against the Nets. I know he had a massive game against them last year, if I remember correctly. So I think Julius Randle at 9,400 looks like a pretty good tournament play. I think with the game log so ugly these last few games, I think that's going to keep his ownership down. So he is someone that I do like as a tournament play at first look. I really, really like him on Yahoo. I think Yahoo's where he stands out the most. He's only $35 at the power forward position. That's way too cheap for Julius Randle. I don't care how bad he's been. This is still a high upside player. This is still a guy that's going to play big minutes on a nightly basis. Definitely like Julius Randle here. R.J. Barrett is questionable. If he plays, I think he's okay at 5,800. I wouldn't love him on this slate, but he'd be a viable option just because, he's going to play probably 33, 35 minutes if this game stays close. I think Alec Burks, though, is a really good play. 5,600. We did get word that with Kemba Walker out of the rotation, that means that, or they said that Alec Burks is going to be the starting point guard. So moving forward, Alec Burks is going to be in the starting lineup. We saw him, I think he did start last game against Atlanta, and he played a ton of minutes. 39 minutes, 40 DraftKings points. He's been really productive this year with the Knicks, even coming off the bench, even though he hasn't played a ton of minutes every night. Even in the 24, 25 minutes he plays, like he averages around a fantasy point per minute most nights. He's been around a fantasy point per minute player this season. He's a pretty high usage player as well. He's a guy that will take shots. He'll get rebounds. He'll get some assists. He should have the ball in his hands a good amount, given that he will be starting at point guard. 5,600 for Alec Burks. If we expect him to play, 30 to 32 minutes, I think he's a pretty good play on the slate. I would like him a lot, though. If RJ Barrett and Derrick Rose are out, RJ Barrett being out, that just helps to secure the minutes for Burks. And then, Derrick Rose is a pretty high usage player. Getting him off the floor, not having him out there is going to allow Burks to have the ball in his hands even more. I think even if those guys play, though, Burks is still going to be a pretty good option since he'll be starting and the minutes will be pretty secure. So I definitely like him at 5,600 on DK. He is really, really cheap on Yahoo. He stands out as a really good value over there. Only $12 at the small forward position. Evan Fournier at 4,900. Pretty score-independent player, but he's been, shooting the ball a lot lately. 14, 15, 13 shot attempts these last few games. He's been shooting kind of well. He's a guy that, he's going to have to make shots to really get there to have a good game. But, with how the Knicks are kind of, they're tightening up their rotation right now, cutting Kemba Walker out. Maybe they're going to be missing a few guys here. We probably do get big minutes from Evan Fournier if it is a close game. Not my favorite play from the Knicks, but definitely viable. Same could be said for Emmanuel Quickly. He's going to come off the bench, probably play around 20 to 25 minutes, I would say. They might play him alongside Burks a little bit. I will say that if Derrick Rose plays, I'd be off of Quickly. Quickly is just overpriced if Derrick Rose plays. But if Derrick Rose does remain out, I think we do get like mid-20s minutes from Quickly, which makes him playable. And that's probably it for the Knicks. I don't think I'm really going to be going to like Noel or Robinson or any of the bigs. Like even if Noel and Gibson are both out, I doubt I really consider Mitchell Robinson. I think last game with both those guys out, he still only played 27 minutes, and he really hasn't been that productive this year. He used to be a really productive player like a couple years ago, but he just hasn't been the same guy. Like hasn't been producing at a high rate. Just really not someone you really want to roster, I don't think. I think Derrick Rose, if he plays at 4,300, like his price tag's kind of favorable. He would probably play around 20 to 22 minutes off the bench. It's always a worry with an older guy like Derrick Rose coming back from an ankle injury. Is there going to be some sort of limit on him? We don't really know. That'll be something we kind of have to pay attention to. On a shorter slate, though, only 5 games, he'd be a viable cheap play if he winds up playing. But definitely, the two standout plays from the Knicks for me are Julius Randle and Alec Burks. Alec Burks, especially if Barrett and Rose are out, I would love Alec Burks. And then Fournier, I think, is playable. Rose, if he plays, is viable too. But that's probably it for the Knicks, I think. Now, on the net side, not as much to like here. Harden and KD both have a lot of upside, but they're both priced where they should be. Both over 11,000. It's going to be hard for them to justify these price tags on a nightly basis. Can they still put up good games at these price tags? I mean, absolutely they can. I mean, we just saw KD go off last game against the Suns, put up 70 DraftKings points. Like, KD has that kind of upside. I will say that he played 45 minutes in regulation just out of nowhere. I really don't know why. Like, they played KD I think he played the entire second half. Like, he played the entire first quarter, or the third quarter. He played the entire third quarter, and I'm pretty sure he played the entire fourth quarter as well, which is, really random for a regular season game. I wouldn't expect that to happen again. I think KD still, though, will play probably 36, 38 minutes if this game stays close. If I had to roster one of the two Brooklyn guys, I think I'd rather just go with Harden. I feel like KD maybe gets a little bit more ownership than Harden does, given he's coming off a big game. But I do expect, for the most part, both these Brooklyn guys will be pretty low owned on this slate. They're just tournament plays where they're priced at. LaMarcus Aldridge, he has been starting at center lately, which kind of makes him viable. 5,700. He's been getting pretty good minutes, 34, 29, 28 minutes his last 3 games. His price is up to 5,700 now, so I think he's priced about right. But he's shown upside when he's gotten minutes this year. He's been a productive player, averaged around a fantasy point per minute. He's a guy that will take shots. He'll get rebounds. He's going to produce when he's on the court. So he is definitely playable. He's probably my favorite play from the Nets, just to be honest with you. If I had to play anyone on this team, he might be my first pick. The rest of the Nets, though, I'm not really on. Patty Mills, I think at his price tag, don't love that. DeAndre Bembry doesn't really offer much upside. Blake Griffin's been out of the rotation lately, which is kind of why you've seen Aldridge play so much. And then Bruce Brown, I don't think I'd be going to him either. He played only 5 minutes last game. So really, it's just the top 2 guys and LaMarcus Aldridge for me. That's probably it from Brooklyn. Next game, though, Memphis and Toronto. So Memphis, kind of a team you have to have some interest in today because they're going to continue to be without Ja Morant. I will say that the price tags on a lot of these Memphis guys have come up to a point where they're not just complete standout plays like guys you have to have, but there's just so much usage to go around with Ja Morant off the floor that you kind of have to have interest in guys like Dillon Brooks, Desmond Bane, Tyus Jones, D'Anthony Melton. Dillon Brooks at 7K, he's 7K. His price tag is way up there, but man, you look at that last game without Ja. He played 21 minutes because it was a massive blowout. He took 17 shots in 21 minutes. He really didn't even shoot the ball that well, just 47% from the field, 16% from three. Still had 34 Draftkings points in 21 minutes. Obviously, that was a really good matchup against Sacramento. This matchup against Toronto, not nearly as good, but I still like Dillon Brooks quite a bit at 7K. I think without Ja Morant, he is going to be the guy that gets all the usage, takes a lot of shots. He should have the ball in his hands a decent amount. He's got upside. He's got enough upside to pay off the 7K price tag. So I do like Dillon Brooks quite a bit on Yahoo or on Draftkings, and I think on Yahoo he's pretty good as well. I will say that a lot of these Memphis guys are a lot more affordable on Yahoo than they are on Draftkings. So Dillon Brooks is $23 on Yahoo. Really, really like him there. But then the other guys like Jaren Jackson Jr. should get a little bump without Ja. He played only 22 minutes in a blowout, was still productive, 32 DK points. Desmond Bane took a ton of shots last game as well, 12 shot attempts, seven shots from behind the arc. He shot the ball pretty well, 58% from the field, 57% from three. But he's been a really good shooter this year. He's been a really efficient shooter. Without Ja, there should be more shot attempts available for him as well. At 6K, he's kind of similar to Desmond Bane. I think the upside is there for or not Desmond Bane, but Dillon Brooks. I think the upside is there for Desmond Bane, similar to Dillon Brooks. The price tag's gotten to a point where I don't think he's a standout play, but he's going to be another guy that just goes out there and takes a lot of shots. I think at 6K, he looks like a pretty good option as well. I definitely like Desmond Bane on this slate, and again, on Yahoo, $18. Looks like one of the better shooting guard options. And then you got the two guards, Tyus Jones, D'Anthony Melton. Tyus Jones did start last game in place of Ja. I'm assuming he will start. He'll be starting in place of Ja till Ja comes back. 5,200, the price tag on Tyus Jones is probably where it should be. I don't think he's just this standout, have-to-have value play. But Tyus Jones has shown when he gets minutes, he can also be productive. He does a little bit of everything. He does get a lot of assists. He'll get some points. He'll get a few rebounds as well. He's a guy that can pick up a lot of steals too. At 5,200, I think Tyus Jones, assuming this game does stay close and he plays like 30, 32 minutes, he's another guy that I have interest in from this Memphis team. So I like him on DK too. I like him on Yahoo, really cheap there, $14. I think all these Memphis guys are playable. I probably wouldn't be playing too many Memphis guys in one lineup. I think I probably would cap it at 3. But you could definitely play, multiple Memphis guys in multiple lineups today. I just wouldn't go too heavy on them because, we do have some other teams and, potentially some other teams that could be shorthanded like, the Knicks who we already talked about. But I do like these Memphis guys. Really the starting lineup. So, Tyus Jones, Bane, Brooks, Jaren Jackson Jr., all those guys are in play. Steven Adams, he was really, really productive last game. I don't know if this is something that we can expect moving forward, but he only played 21 minutes because of the blowout, but he was really productive, 31 DK points, had only 3 points, but he did have 12 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks, 1 steal. Those defensive stats, the 3 blocks, 1 steal, it's going to be hard to predict when you get those. But if Steven Adams, maybe his upside's a little bit higher without Ja on the floor. I don't know. Steven Adams, not really a high usage player, doesn't really create his own shot. He just gets, he gets his fantasy points from rebounds, from putbacks, from defensive stats. If you want to go there, I think it's okay at 4,300. But the guys we just talked about are really my main priorities from Memphis. And even D'Anthony Melton coming off the bench, he only played 18 minutes in the blowout, but he was also really productive in that time. Had 14 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. He should be more productive. I don't think he'll get. I don't think he was really playing much alongside Ja anyway, but he should be in line for more minutes with Ja off the court. Probably plays, 22, 24 minutes a night off the bench. Could play more depending on if he's playing well or not. If you want to go there, I think he's fine at 5,100, but his price saw a big jump up to where I don't think he's as much of a standout play. But I definitely like, a good amount of these Memphis guys today. Now on the Toronto side, we'll have to wait and see with injuries here. So OG is going to be out again. Kim Birch is going to be out again. And Gary Trent is questionable. This Gary Trent injury is kind of important because we did see last game with Gary Trent out. They did start Svi Mykhailiuk, and he played a ton of minutes. He played 38 minutes. Had a pretty good game, too. Scored 32 Draftkings points. So far this year with the Raptors, Svi Mykhailiuk, he's not really been He's not been a great point per minute player, but he's been good enough to where if he does play 30 plus minutes again, at 3,800, I will have a good amount of interest in him as a value play. So Svi Mikhailiuk would definitely be the guy to target if Gary Trent's out. Then the other guys, the main Raptors, Van Vliet, Siakam, Scotty Barnes, like all these guys are going to play massive minutes if it's a close game. Last game you got 40 minutes from Fred Van Vliet. Siakam played 38 minutes, and I think Scotty Barnes played around 40 minutes as well. You had 37 minutes for him. Like these guys are all going to play a ton of minutes to where they can put up good games at their salaries. I don't think any of them project as standout plays given where they're priced at, but when you're going to get 38, 40 minutes from players, there's obviously chance that they have really good games. So Van Vliet, Siakam, Barnes, all firmly in play if you want to go there. I will say, though, if Gary Trent's out again, Svi Mikhailiuk will probably be my favorite play from this Toronto team. The bigs, I'm probably not going to go to, like Precious Achiuwa started last game. He did play a lot of minutes. He wasn't really productive. I will say that with Kim Birch out, I think that does secure Precious Achiuwa for probably 30, 35 minutes a night. I think his price at 4,400 is probably where it should be, but he's an okay value play. I don't know if I'd be going to him on this slate, but I think he's at least playable because he's going to continue to get the minutes while Kim Birch is out. That's it, though, for this game. Next one, the Lakers and the Kings. So the Lakers are a team, even in a really good matchup here against Sacramento, they're a team I just can't really get to on this slate because Westbrook, AD, and LeBron, when they're all healthy, when they're all playing together, it's just hard to pay, these price tags for them. Last game, with them all healthy, Westbrook, 37 minutes, 47 DK points, not great for his salary. AD, 38 minutes, 51 DK points, not good enough at 10,600. I'm looking for like 60 DK points when I'm, paying 10K for a guy. And then LeBron last game, he had the best game of the trio, 37 minutes, 59 DK points. None of these guys are going to project well at their salaries because it's just hard for them to, you can't really project LeBron for 55 or 60 DK points because he's not going to project for that much. He's going to project for like low 40s. I think all the Lakers guys are going to be low owned, which, anytime you can get Russell Westbrook or Anthony Davis or LeBron at low ownership in a really good matchup against Sacramento, there's always some appeal there. But I don't have a ton of confidence in these Lakers studs. It's hard to really pay these salaries for them when they're all, playing together. I really only target these guys when they're, when someone gets ruled out. While they're all healthy, I doubt I'm going to play them on this slate. And the rest of the Lakers, I'm not going to touch any of these guys either. So the Lakers, honestly, they're like a full fade for me. Even on a 5-game slate, I don't see a ton that I really like here. On the Sacramento side, though, De'Aaron Fox at 8,400, I think is a pretty good option here. Really good matchup against the Lakers. We saw these teams play a couple days ago. The game went to triple overtime. Obviously, De'Aaron Fox had a great game, played 53 minutes, had 54 DK points. Last game against Memphis, he played pretty well in limited minutes. Obviously, that game was a massive blowout. De'Aaron Fox only played 21 minutes, but he was pretty productive in that time, had 25 DK points. Matchup against the Lakers, really good. Lakers been playing at a really fast pace this year, second fastest pace in the league. The Kings, on the other hand, they're playing at a top 10 pace as well, so this is a game that we expect to be very high scoring like it was last time these teams played. So I think De'Aaron Fox in tournaments makes a lot of sense. I think the rest of the Kings are just tournament plays like Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield. These guys have gotten priced up to a point where I don't think they stand out as great options, but they're still playable because the matchup's really good. Richaun Holmes is expected to play today. I'm pretty sure I saw that he was not on the injury report, so Richaun Holmes is going to be back. That's really going to take me off, all these other guys. So Bagley, Metu, Alex Len, I'm off of all them. Holmes himself at 6,200, you could go to. I don't love the matchup against Anthony Davis. I definitely worry about foul trouble with him. He's a guy that does pick up a lot of fouls, and if he's going to be guarding AD, you do worry about that. But again, it's a fast-paced game. Should see a lot of points scored here. It wouldn't be surprising to see some guys do well in this game. It's just, given where everyone's priced at, I don't know if there's any standout plays. Overall, my favorite play from this game is definitely De'Aaron Fox on the Kings side at 8,400. But that's it for this one. We can move on to the next game, talk about the Warriors and the Suns. So looking at the Warriors today, Steph Curry, 11,400. Again, Curry's another guy that it's really hard to consider him a top pay-up option when he's 11,400 just because he's never going to project well at this salary. But that doesn't mean that Curry can't have a big game. And we saw him go for 62 DK points against the Clippers last game. This matchup against Phoenix has been playing at a pretty fast pace this year. They're 4th in pace. The Warriors are 5th in pace. Phoenix, I think defensively has been pretty solid. Yeah, they've had one of the better so both these teams have been really good defensively. The Warriors have had the best defensive rating in the league. The Suns have had the 3rd best defensive rating. They're two really good defensive teams, but they're also two teams that play at a really fast pace. So it's kind of a positive and a negative. In a fast-paced game, I think Curry, should thrive. This is a game that should stay close, so Curry plays his full minutes. I mean, he's a good tournament play. I don't think he's someone I'd be playing like in cash or anything. He's just never a guy that's you're really going to play in cash at his price tag. But in tournaments, we know Curry can go out there and just break a slate. You know, when he gets hot, man, I mean, he can just nuke a slate and put up 60, 70, 80 DraftKings points. So in what should be a fast-paced game, obviously Steph Curry is someone you can go to in tournaments. The rest of the Warriors, though, I don't really have any interest in. Draymond at 7,200, I think is fine. He hasn't been great lately. He did finally have a good game, though, against Portland. Almost had a triple-double, 48 DK points. Outside of that game, though, I mean, the game log has been really ugly for Draymond. He really hasn't been justifying his price point. He's nothing more than like a tournament play, just someone you could go to at like really low ownership. That's probably it for the Warriors, though. On the Phoenix side, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, I think on this slate, both of them probably, feel priced about right. I don't think either one stand out as, core options for me. But again, this should be a fast-paced game. The Warriors as a team have been great defensively this year, but the pace of this game, I think, does set up well to where we could see, Devin Booker maybe do well. We could see Chris Paul do well. But again, where they're priced at, I don't think either one stand out as like priority plays for me. And the same could be said for like really all the Suns. Like DeAndre Ayton is 7,100. Don't love the spot for him against Golden State. Golden State's been good defensively against big men this year. Ayton's price where he's at, like I don't love that. Like I think that this should be a great like game to watch. I'm pretty sure it's on national TV. I'll definitely be watching this game. But for DFS on DraftKings, where these guys are priced at, like I don't know if there's any standout plays coming from this game. Maybe Mikal Bridges, they play a ton of minutes here. Maybe they want him guarding Steph. He did have an insane game last game where he got 7 freaking steals against Brooklyn. He played 41 minutes. I think he was kind of the primary defender on KD and Harden. Maybe they play Mikal Bridges a ton of minutes here because they want him out there guarding Steph. I don't know. But at 5,500, I doubt I'd be going to him either. So yeah, there's just not a ton of love, or not a ton to love here in my opinion, given where everyone's priced at. I think this should be a great game to watch for DFS. A little bit tougher to kind of load up on this game. Really, just everyone in this game is mostly just tournament plays for me. But now we can move on to the last game of the night, the Pistons and the Blazers. So on the Pistons side, Cade Cunningham 7,700. I do like the matchup here against Portland. Portland this year has not been good defensively. I think this is a spot where Cade Cunningham can definitely do well. We saw that stretch where Cade Cunningham was crushing, like he was putting up big games every night. He had 4 straight games, over 40 DK points. Since then, he's really come back down to earth. 19, 28, 30, 34 DK points. He's not been great lately. I think that does keep his ownership down, though, because the price tag is still pretty high. I mean, 7,700 is still a lot to pay for Cade Cunningham. It wouldn't be surprising to see him have a good game here. But again, where he's priced at, he's not like a standout play. There's really no standout plays from Detroit, I'll say. Like Jeremy Grant, Sadiq Bey, I don't love these guys. Isaiah Stewart at 4,600. Hasn't been productive enough to where I'd want to really be going there. Last 2 games, he's played 27 minutes in both games, but the production, again, has not been great. 4,600, he's a fine option, but there's nothing that I love from the Pistons, just to be honest with you. This is a team I normally don't have much interest in, and on a 5-game slate, even with just 5 games today, God, I really don't think I'm going to be rostering many Pistons. On the Blazers side, though, this is a back-to-back for the Blazers, but I assume everyone should be good to go here. Norman Powell was out on Monday, so keep an eye on his status. If he were to be out again, that would benefit guys like Tony Snell, Nasir Little. They did start Tony Snell on Monday. He didn't do anything. Like he barely scored any fantasy points, I believe. Yeah, 16 minutes, 13 fantasy points for Tony Snell. Even if he starts again, I probably wouldn't be playing him. If I was going to play, one of those value guys, it definitely would be Nasir Little, who played 27 minutes off the bench, had 18 DK points. But I think really where we're going to want to go to from Portland is the main guys, Dame, CJ, Nurkic. Dame and CJ on this slate, I don't know if they're standout plays for me. Obviously, against a really bad Pistons team, these guys have upside. I will say that we've seen Dame have back-to-back really bad games. A really bad game where he struggled against Golden State, and then they got blown out by Utah Monday. Dame struggled once again in that game. I mean, this is definitely a get-right spot for Dame against the Pistons. I mean, the Pistons are terrible. Nobody on their team is going to stop Dame here. The only thing I worry about is that Portland could definitely blow them out. This Pistons team is just so bad that I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Portland blowout here. But I would say that if Portland does blow out Detroit, it's probably because Dame is just, he's just going nuts. So at 9,700, he's a riskier option, but I think the ceiling is still there against a bad bad Pistons team. CJ at his price tag, I think is an okay play. I don't love him. I will say that Nurkic, like in this matchup against Detroit, this is a great spot for Nurkic. Like Detroit has been so bad defensively against centers. I'm pretty sure in terms of fantasy points allowed to centers, like they're top in the league. I could actually probably look that up just real quick because I did want to check that out. Let me see. So in terms of fantasy points allowed to centers this year, the Detroit Pistons, where are they at? Let me go to Draftkings. I should have pulled this up already before I started recording. So the Pistons are, where are they at? Okay, so they're about top 10. They're right there behind the Spurs and Timberwolves in terms of fantasy points allowed per game to centers. I think the matchup though is definitely really good for Nurkic. They don't really have anyone that can stop him on the glass. I worry about minutes for Nurkic. That's something that's always been a concern. His minutes this year have not been great. I talked about it in my video on Monday. In the matchup against Utah, I thought it was a good possibility that Nurkic would play like 30, 32 minutes just because they would need him out there guarding Gobert and Hassan Whiteside. And he played 27 minutes in a blowout. He was really productive too, scored 40 DraftKings points. 6,400, the price tag on Nurkic I think is probably where it should be. But if he does see more minutes here, like if he plays 30 minutes, I mean, Nurkic could go nuts against this Pistons team because they're not going to have anyone to stop him, on the glass. I think Nurkic is definitely a good tournament play. I like him quite a bit on a shorter slate like this. He might be my favorite play overall from this Blazers team. That's probably it, though, for Portland. We talked about, if Powell's out, who you could go to there, who would benefit in that situation. But I think that's it for this 5-game slate. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed, please do click the like button down below, guys. Click the subscribe button as well. Again, check out the sponsor of the video, PrizePicks. Go sign up for PrizePicks. Use code NOAH. When you sign up, they'll match your first deposit up to $100. You can take a look at the PrizePicks board for this Tuesday night slate. You can see all the props they have listed already. Again, they'll have their fantasy point projections posted, early Tuesday morning. You can take a look at those, make some picks, go over or under. You have to make at least 2 picks, but you can make up to 5 picks, potentially win up to 10 extra money on PrizePicks. If you want to sign up, use code NOAH. They'll match your first deposit up to $100. But best of luck tonight, guys. Thanks so much for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one.